Yeah, we got 9.
All right. Call the meeting to order, the Marine Advisory Board, September 13th, 2023. If I can go out of order on the agenda for just a second, we have one new member and perhaps another one in a moment, but we have one new member, Dr. Francis Bugaj, who actually joined a month ago, but was unable to make the very first meeting in June. So anyway, welcome, and why don't you introduce yourself?
My name is Francis Bugaj. I want to thank the City Council for electing me to the Marine Advisory Board of Clearwater. I was asked to give you a little bit of background. Okay, born in San Diego, went to school in the Chicago area, mostly Loyola. I was in the Air Force. I left the Air Force in 1971. That's when I joined, or I was accepted into Loyola Dental School. I graduated Loyola Dental School in 75, cum laude, and spent a year doing a residency through Northwestern Medical School. I opened up a practice in Highland Park, Illinois, where I joined the Rotary Group. After a period of time, I became president of Rotary. I joined the Historical Society. I became president of the Historical Society. Same thing with the Suburban Fine Arts Center. Joined the Chamber of Commerce, became the president of the Chamber of Commerce. Joined the American Legion up in Lake Forest. I was eventually the commander of the American Legion in Lake Forest. In 2020, I graduated from the Citizens Academy in Clearwater. I'm also the Secretary, Treasurer, and Historian for the annual Midwest Seminar of Dental Medicine, which just ended in Lake Delavan, Wisconsin. I've been doing that for many years, so I hope that my best here meets your minimal requirements. Thank you.
What kind of book do you have?
What kind of book?
Boat.
Boat. I've got a compact 23 sailboat.
Okay.
Excellent. Well, good. Welcome.
Thank you.
That's not a requirement.
So the second item on the agenda then will be the approval of the board meeting minutes from our last meeting. There's only 3 of us. I think we all have a copy of it. Any additions, changes, deletions?
No, they were fine. I read them over yesterday.
Okay, fine with me. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Second, thank you, Doctor. All right, minutes have been approved. Citizens here. Hi, Phil. I don't see any citizens in the room to be heard regarding items not on the agenda, so we'll move on to new business items. We've already accomplished the introduction of Dr. Bugaj. Thank you for the pronunciation. Sorry, I got it wrong the first time. So the next item will be, I guess, from Mike, the Harbor Marine Operations update.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Mr. Hodgson.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody. It's like we're having kind of lost my voice a little bit right before the last couple of days, but we'll power through this. So the Harbor Marina, the grand opening for the new dock master's office was June 28th, along with the sound at Coaching Park. It's a beautiful new little building there. It's 206 Pierce Street, the address for that building. That is accessible by Prox cards or like a hotel key card. We still are in the process of trying to get the gates out to the docks switched over to that. We're hoping by the end of the month to have that, so it'll just be that single key card to get you into the building as well as through the gates. Inside the building, the washer dryers have been moved inside there for the transient guests as well as our permanent tenants there. We've also put in a bulletin board there. We've reached out to Amplify Clearwater, we've reached out to Visit St. Pete Clearwater as well as CMA. And we'd like to start utilizing that billboard inside to promote local events for our transient guests as well as our recreational tenants there in the harbor. I think that's a great opportunity to reach out to them. The part of the harbor marina, the wave attenuators, we know the new ones were delivered and are being stored at VDOT. They made it through the storm without any issues at all. The guys went out and put extra ratchet straps down there and really secured those really good. Our city engineer, Jeff Walker, along with Mike, prior to the storm, the compromised wave attenuators on the South Basin, they put extra collars around there. One, if you were down there looking at it, just had a chain roped around it. That chain was removed and an actual structure frame was bolted around it. They did crack during the storm, but they held, so those wave attenuators made it through the storm as well. The replacement for those is scheduled for December 4th. It's going to last 2 weeks to about a month, and we were just told a few weeks ago that everyone in ADOT would need to vacate ADOT during the construction, so we've reached out to all those tenants to just give them a heads up. We will find slips for them, find places to put them during the construction, and move them back once that's over.
How long will that period be?
They're saying 2 weeks to a month. So beginning December 4th, and we're hoping by the end of the first week of January, they'll be able to move back into their ADOT slips there. That's all I have for the harbor. Any questions? Yes, sir.
The pump out station on the North Basin, is it scheduled to be repaired or?
That is a constant battle. It is. The guys have ordered parts for it, and it's at this point just trying to get parts.
Trying to get parts. So, I follow him to say I said anything, so I have a vested interest in that corner of the marina right now.
Yeah,
I don't pump out without them.
yeah. It'd be nice to have that working right there where you can pump out, but they're aware of it. They got the south one up and going, and it's just a back and forth.
What department's responsible for that?
We do that along with building maintenance. We work with them, but our guys do the actual parts replacement from the pump, the hose, the nozzle at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So we're aware of it. It's just a parts issue and a never-ending battle back and forth between the South Basin and the North Basin. Oftentimes people use it, they'll throw it down, and we're not even aware it's not working. And, it could go for a while before someone brings it to our attention.
I'll let you know. I'll let you know from now on.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Were there any problems in the marina?
During the storm?
With the high water, all the boats tie off nicely and properly?
Everything, yeah, the harbor marina during the storm fared very well. The float, I think that speaks to the floating docks, just the resiliency of them during storms. We didn't have any issues at all. We had one sailboat that came in during the storm that was not part of the marina at all, got up against the side and just rubbing the side, ended up sinking. That was floated.
I was going to say, I thought I saw something.
Yeah, Moonraker is the name of the boat. That was floated the very next day, and it's now over at Seminole Boat Ramp. We're working with Progressive to try to get that removed down in there. I was just speaking with them yesterday. Any other questions?
Any other questions? All right, next item on the agenda is a discussion of the marina slip rate increase.
It was going to be a presentation, but unfortunately, I have no way to give that presentation now. Did you guys have a chance to look over the presentation and the rate study that was done by Debbie?
Looked over the short one and have it, but the 45 chart one I didn't print out.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We can go over this. Do you have a copy of the presentation?
I have one.
You do?
Share it here.
Okay. So over the last 5 years, we've done some rate increases out there. In 2018, we raised it 10% for the commercial businesses out there. We also raised the harbor recreational and the beach recreational rate 3%. Island Way, we did not increase that year. In 2019, the beach commercial, we increased by 10%. The beach recreational, the harbor recreational, and Island Way, we all increased that by 3%. In 2020, there was a 0% increase for all tenants due to COVID. In 2021, there was a 5 to 10% increase based on the vessel capacity for the commercial tenants at the beach marina. And then there was a 3% increase for the recreational and harbor recreational tenants. Also in 2021, there was a 5% increase to Island Way. In 2022, the beach commercial marinas tenants, increased 5 to 10% based on the vessel capacity. And the harbor, the beach marina and Island Way increased by 5, and the harbor marina increased by 0. That was due to the construction at Cushman Park. So what we're proposing to do, and what I'm looking for your recommendation for today, is a rate increase, 0 for the beach commercial and beach recreational, increase for fiscal year 23-24, and then a 10% increase for the harbor recreational and Island Way tenants, and a transient rate increase of 10%. Doing that would raise the, would increase for the residential at the harbor from, it would go from 1032 to 1136, which is $1.08 a foot increase. Island Way Estates, we only have a 40-foot vessel. That's all that those slips are over there is 40 foot, and it would go from 1066 to 1178, which is an increase of $1.07. Transients per foot, it would increase from 238 to 262 per foot per day. It would increase from $1.70 to $1.87, which is a 17-cent increase per foot per week. And then it would increase the monthly transients from $1.19 to $1.31, which is a 12-cent increase for a 30-day stay. The proposed rates, I broke it down by slip, the cost that they're actually paying for it now and what that increase would be. So for example, the 40-foot boat at the harbor, they're paying $412.80 now a month, and that would go to $454. So an increase of about $30. If you look at the comparable page, you can see for, I'll use the 40-foot example again, for the harbor marina would be $454, the Island Way would be $469, Madeira Beach, it's going to cost you $480, at Marker 1 it's $520. At St. Pete, you're looking at $413.40, and then at Tarpon Landing, you're looking at $640. So even with these increases, we're still a little bit under market value compared to the rate study that was put out by Dunedin. So just looking for y'all's recommendation to council to do those increases starting October 1st.
How long do you think I'm sure we're waiving any increase at the beach because of the upcoming construction.
Correct. Well, that, and we've asked all the tenants to leave by the beginning of next year. So.
Yeah. So that's to be predicted to probably go into another year at least, or
what
the lack of any increase, or
come February, we're thinking February is when the last recreational tenant's going to leave. They're not going to return until the construction's over. And at that point, we'll reevaluate the rate increases. And
so any increases are moved?
Yeah,
okay.
Pretty much. I mean, we'd have 6 months of increases, so.
I think we should adapt it. I think it's quite fair. If we didn't have so much going on with the wave actuators, the building of the park, and the construction of the marina, we'd have a chance to maybe catch some of the local municipalities and getting our fair share of it. With all we have going on until we get to some kind of status quo, we have to do some kind of increase. We have to increase revenues to pay for this stuff, but I think it's a fair rate increase.
Among the list that you have on here, Marker 1 is a private facility. Right?
Correct.
Is Tarpon Landing a private facility?
I believe so, yes. It's not city owned.
And I guess Madeira Beach would be a municipal facility?
Correct.
And I'm just trying to look and see, obviously St. Pete is a municipal facility and it's substantially, well, maybe substantially smaller, but it is less anyway. So I was just wondering if the increase is reasonable as a comparable municipal facility.
I think with St. Pete, the problem is the access to the Gulf. It's a 45-minute cruise for the decent, at a decent speed to get out past the Skyway or through Pass-a-Grille to even be enjoying the Gulf of Mexico. The bay for a lot of those bigger boats, a 40-foot boat, you don't have it to run around the bay. You have it to get out.
Good point. Okay. We don't approve these per se, but I think we recommend that we approve them, right?
Yeah, they recommend by vote, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's also good to keep the rate in a reasonable perception, keep the marines full.
Yeah.
Because you're better off having a full marina at a decent rate than
Well-
2/3 full at a high rate.
We're 93% full, and then we have a wait list that's maxed out at 15. The wait list is full. So we haven't been filling them like as quickly as turnover. We get on it right away, just because we have to move people off of dock for the construction coming out. So we're trying to save room for that, and then we'll start working on the wait list.
A little off topic, how are you gonna handle the small sailboats that are asked to leave and based on the order of departure, the order of which they can come back, but if they don't have a slip their size anymore, which we're not gonna, for some of the 25 footers or whatever they are.
Yeah.
Are you gonna offer them a slip that's bigger at the same rate they would pay, or they have to pay the bigger slip rate?
We haven't gotten that far yet, but we have some people now that'll take a bigger slip for the vessels and they'll pay the rate that it's set for.
Would you subdivide a slip to accommodate smaller boats?
I haven't thought that far yet. Yeah.
I just know you're gonna have some people that are upset, they've been there forever and then they get kicked out, can't come back unless they pay 3 times as much as they were paying. You know, so-
I don't think it's gonna be 3 times as much, but
Well, no, I mean, for the small boat, to have to pay for a bigger slip
yeah.
than it needs just to be in that location, it may be twice as much anyway. So,
I thought
just
we
looking
had
forward
that.
to, kick, push back again.
I thought we had that discussion that there would be some certain grandfathering, at least for a period of time, because they're taking their business and suspending it or taking it elsewhere, and they've got to come back and reestablish. So hitting them immediately with the higher cost for the 40-foot slip, because there aren't as many 25s, that there was going to be some kind of grandfathering of saying, you're going to pay your old rate for 2 years. By then, you've got to adapt.
If there are discussions, I wasn't involved in those discussions.
It might have been before.
Yeah.
We've been talking about this for 5 or 6 years, so
Yeah.
there's a lot been said.
There's a lot of different options, and
I think that was even said when we had a room full of tenants, when we first brought up the master plan.
yeah, I don't recall that conversation then, but that's further down the road as this thing starts getting put together and council starts.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with this rent increase that we're talking about now.
No.
I propose that we put that forward to the council. I make a
Yeah,
motion.
thank you. That's what we need is a motion to recommend to the council that the rates be approved as presented. So,
I so
Kevin has made. Do we have a second?
A second.
Any seconds? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so the motion passes. Okay, so we can move to all business items, starting with the beach marina update.
Check. So really since the last meeting minutes, there's not been a whole lot of change. It's all, they're looking at water meters, they're looking at all the groundwork. So nothing has changed with the design or anything like that. The permits, they're still being pursued and they're in process. The biggest challenge has always been the cost. So we're looking at pursuing different grant opportunities, through the state and through, locally through the Tourism Development Council. Council's still supportive of the project. The seawall's still a go. We're still looking at the parking garage, hoping that comes to fruition, because that still will tell you one of our biggest problems. And I had a conversation with Charlie yesterday. It's going to be upland support. We're very, very limited on the upland support we're going to be able to provide, especially for some of our bigger tenants. Parking for garage would solve all those problems. Being as a first floor would be storage and things like that they can utilize. So, and that's really it for the beach marina. It's not a whole lot of change since our last board meeting. Is there any questions that anybody has?
There was some discussion last time about eventually moving to getting a maximum guaranteed cost.
Yes, so we're still working on that. It's hard to get a GMP at 60%. So a lot of the design is actually sitting around 75%, trying to get those costs. It's hard right now with the way the material's going and everything. So we're gonna go up to 90% to get that GMP. And so we're looking at probably beginning of November to get that cost. When that happens, I'll have the engineer firm come out and give you guys a presentation on it, as well as city council. So.
Will you be metering everybody's water or just commercial tenants?
I think right now it's just the commercial tenants.
Are there any designs, architectural or ideas on the garage and how it's going to facilitate the commercial?
I haven't been a part of those conversations, but I know that they are working with an engineering firm on that.
That's parking.
Yeah, that's parking. That's not going
Is
to
Jeff
be
Walker
us.
involved in
I'm sorry.
that? Is Jeff Walker involved in that?
I'm not for sure if he is or not. I don't know who's doing that with parking. He might be the project manager. I can find that out for you though.
Okay, any more questions for Mike on the beach project?
No. The seawall's being built first.
It's being built, I think, in conjunction is what their plan is now. So phase one will start at the west side of the marina. We'll do that, and then we'll do the east side of the marina.
What happens to, I just happen to think as you do the west side seawall, what happens to the walkway for pedestrians, which is really packed with people a lot of times? Is there any room left for them?
Are you talking about where they go over the, it's gonna end at Phil's slip.
The west side of the seawall.
Oh, the
piece-
west side.
Right, on Coronado, right at the crossing light and so on.
Yeah, I don't know
Wow, it's gonna be tight.
what the construction plan is with those pedestrians.
What's the divider for east and west? Is it the MDOT? The building?
Right around where the main dock is now, in that area.
So you'll be moving commercial over to the inside of the basin there?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Got there a little bit.
Okay.
Flip so.
You okay, Phil?
Yeah.
All right, we'll move to the second item, the Seminole Docks maintenance and replacement update.
So again, I just wanted to update you guys. I know that, we hear a lot about Seminole, the ramps being down for so long. And, that's a permitting issue with the state and FDEP. So when we built this back in the 60s, there was no Department of Environmental Protection. That didn't come around until the 70s. So we never had a permit with them, even though we have state funding to do this. So that's the issue right now, is there is not an FDEP permit, and then there's some survey land that's basically says they're not ours. So you have to look back to the 1899 act that, if you build a seawall or whatever, you encompass that land. So it's a big mess. Attorneys are involved, and we're trying to get it straightened out as soon as we can so we can get those ramps repaired. During the storm, we had ramp number 8, the pilot snapped, so we're getting that repaired. Right now, we're down to 5 boat ramps, but hopefully get that one back up. We'll be back up to 6. And then hopefully we'll be able to start this project and get those ramps repaired and replaced. So that's the goal on that. Any questions?
Is there a place for alternate parking once the parking facility is full?
Right now, there's not. Right now, they close down the lot, and you're not allowed to drop any boats in the water or anything once that parking hits capacity. Now, is there any plans in the future to develop more land and for more parking for that? Not right now, there's not. It's unfortunate, it's one of the only boat ramps in North Pinellas. You have the Seminole, you have one ramp at Dunedin, and then you have Bel Air's boat ramps, and that's basically it. So when one of them's, down a couple ramps, everybody fills it, so.
Okay, and the last item then was the Stevenson Creek update.
And I will let Bill give the update.
So Stevenson Creek, in 2022, they started trying to figure out, apply for permits to get some pilings put 300 feet either side of the bridges leading out to the intercoastal there. That would be the slow speed minimum wake signs. So those have been done. We are, Stevenson's Creek, the stream east of the Betty Lane Bridge, beginning all the way there, all the way down, it's about 3.2 miles. We're lacking one piling east of that Betty Lane Bridge, and that's just logistically trying to get something back up in there because it does get so shallow with that piling. We're looking at right now trying to do it from land side with some equipment that can reach out and drive that piling down and get that last sign put on. But that project's complete. And it's kind of important, I think, with, I know in a previous meeting we had talked about people fishing from those bridges. I know it's regulated and not supposed to be, but they do. So the fact that we could get some signs up there and try to slow down some of those smaller boats that are flying in and out of there is, it was a really important thing for us on a safety aspect. But that's it for the update. We're pretty much completed with that.
Good.
There's one pilot.
Very good. Went much quicker than I anticipated.
Yeah, they really did put in the work and get those pilots put in really quickly.
Not even just getting so that we could put them in, the permissions and things.
Right.
When we started it, it was like, I'll be dead and buried by the time they ever get the approval. And maybe for those that don't know, Clearwater as a municipality has more restricted speed zones than any other municipality in the state of Florida. So to add to them, to say we want more, we thought it was going to be a big mountain to climb. So good job getting it done.
Thank you. Any other questions on that?
I seem to recall hearing something about how Stevenson Creek was affected by some water drainage from the country club. What's going on
Right.
with that?
Well, Stevenson Creek's a watershed. It's a little over 6,200 acres that stretched across Pinellas County. A little over 4,000 acres of that is within the city of Clearwater. That's about 65% of the watershed. So you got to think, as you drive around, you see little ponds here and there throughout Pinellas County. Well, a lot of those are making their way, the drainage is making their way into that 3.2 mile stream that eventually ends up in Stevenson Creek. It was fairly unregulated for, you could imagine, decades. I know over the years there's been attempts to dredge it, attempts to do things, and they hit some contamination from time to time. Contractors have quit. I was reading on the history of it recently. So yeah, that does drain from the golf course. That is part of the watershed for Stevens Creek.
I'm over the few of my golf balls. Curlew Creek, Dunedin has the same problem, Curlew Creek, for keeping that. And if anybody's been around long enough to remember, on Gulf to Bay there, where I wish I could think of the name of the park right now, that is new, there's soccer fields there. That used to also be a golf course that
McKay Park.
renewing that was the beginning of saying, let's restore Stevenson Creek at least somewhat to where it was, where it should be as a natural drainage, and that's more of a natural area now without the golf course and the fertilizer and
At one point, there was talk about some floating docks or some docks being put in next to the condo project or across the street from the condo project. I went by the other day and I see they're still selling with, boat slips supposedly. Is that,
Yeah, that's still in the works. It's still in the works. It's still in the permitting process. It does look like at some point they'll have some small setup just east of the Fort Harrison Bridge there, Edgewater Bridge, along the north side as part of that condo.
east of the bridge.
It would be east of the bridge. Yeah, they don't, the people building the condo don't own the land west of the bridge.
Oh, yeah.
They can't build anything there. The best they could do is something along where Sunset and Fort Harrison meet, that little corner. The best they can do. If you go over the Fort Harrison Bridge and look to the east end of Stevens Street, you see there's a little white floating styrofoam balls, the crab trap markers type, for lack of a better term.
You have to have upland interest to build a dock, so they bought the land on the south side of them that runs along that east side of the bridge there.
It's just, there's not a huge clearance for that
No,
bridge.
and they turned in to the development board, they put a plan together, it was shot down, and they haven't come back yet with the new design. I suspect that they will at some point, but they haven't yet.
And before the 2008 crash, there was another project that was supposed to go on that corner that I owned one of the condos.
Oh, yeah.
The initial couple deposits, and fortunately we got antsy about the market and lost enough money elsewhere, but we were able to get it fully refunded out of that before things went downhill. They I believe went under. So.
But yeah, I don't know what they're thinking, what kind of boat they're gonna have with the limited clearance getting out. But that's, like Mike said, they're back to the drawing board on that.
What is the clearance of the bridge, do you know, roughly?
The clearance, 6 feet, I think, 6 feet is the median side. But yeah, the original plan for the docks, they wanted to go, pretty much their design would come out into the deepest part of Stevenson's Creek with the docks. They said you can't do that, that's just gonna limit people trying to navigate that water.
And a sailboat won't make it.
That's it, yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We have an item of director's report. Is there something additional, Mike?
Yeah, no, I just want to talk about the hurricane a little bit. I appreciate our tenants did an excellent job. I mean, they came out, they prepared. We had no issues with any boat except for the one that sank that wasn't our boat, it just came in over the storm. You saw we had some damage in Seminole. We had one of the ramps, the pilings broken. Went up there the next day. I mean, water was in the parking lot, and those things were were elevated. The beach marina survived very well. I had to replace some deck boards. I was just really surprised how we got lucky and we got up relatively easy. We're gonna have to replace all the swim zone markers on Clearwater Beach. All the pilings were snapped off, but we're gonna replace them with buoys. So swim zone buoys, they're easier to maintain. I don't have to try to send the barge and the crane out there on that surf and try to install pilings. So really just happy with the tenants. I mean, they really did a good job of shoring their stuff up and minimizing any damage. I think I had one piling snap, but it was a rock piling, so.
We had 2 sailboats wash up on the causeway.
Yeah, I saw
One has
that.
already been removed. Is something going on with the other one?
I'd have to check with PD and see what they're doing. They're the ones that will we'll work on those vessels. I mean, there's rules that you have to follow and everything else. So the best thing that you could hope for is that people just call sea tow on a high tide and get their own vessels.
Well, whoever owned that first boat, he brought a crane and craned it.
Yeah.
The guy lifted it and put it back in the water, and I presume that's what you have to do with the second one too.
Yeah, it's pretty far up there, so I suspect that CETO would be able to help with
I
that.
don't think they can hold it.
So,
How far south is our jurisdiction in the water?
the Bel Air Bridge, or the Bel Air line.
Dollar Lunch?
Mhm.
So what about the boat that sank last week,
Where at?
just north of Dollar Lunch? You aware of that?
Oh, the launch?
Large cruiser boat.
Is that 70-footer, it's like,
No, I don't,
Right,
it's not the launch,
Sunday.
it's the Bel Air line, so it's,
oh, the Dollar Line.
Dollar
Okay, so
Line.
that was down here.
yeah.
They pumped it
That was
out.
a 70-footer that sank there. I was kind of curious.
I think
what
it's
happened.
gone.
I assumed it was, you know, going to save the money. They forgot about the fact that battery chargers weren't keeping the batteries on.
I don't know what happened there, so.
Yeah, it was there for a few days and a little bit of fuel and water, I think, that they boomed it and pumped it out. Eventually it came north, I don't know where it went.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it.
So people think they're gonna save money on slip rep by putting it out there, and they go out there and run your engines or run your generator or something, charge your batteries up, and simple bilge pumps don't work.
Yep, that's all it takes. Any other questions?
Okay, are there any other items that board members want to bring up or ask about?
I have a simple one. We had talked about it before, and with this meeting being changed and some emails were exchanged, and we have this, maybe new members especially, that we don't use the reply all button on those. I don't know, from my email, I had to search through 4 or 5 emails to find the actual messages that were coming from the city, that we communicate individually with the city, not with each other. There's a little bit of the sunshine rules that apply to that as we were discussing things, even if it's just meeting attendance outside of the meeting when we're not on camera and on record, that we're not supposed to do those kind of things. And being in the theater, it's a terrible habit of people, especially with the Sages group, which is the Senior Actors Guild, where I'm the young member, where they hit reply all, and there's 387 members that reply goes out to, that don't allot your personal issue. They don't even know what you're talking about. So I have 7 emails, addresses, I have 3 different companies. I go through a lot of emails every day, and the quicker I can do it. So it's just never hit reply all, just reply to Jennifer or whoever it is that's sending the message.
Yeah, and it's you know, a mistake on our end too. We should be sending everything out as a BCC, not as a CC. So
Vice versa.
no, we
Should send it out as a BCC.
That's what he said.
right, yeah,
Yeah, so that we can't reply all.
Right.
correct. That's the policy that I changed yesterday when she came in to tell me, hey, I had a conversation with Mr. McCauley. This is right. So that's what we're going to be doing from now on. Is when we send something out, it'll be BCC.
There's my little pet peeve.
Anything else? Anything else? Bill, anybody? Okay, at this point then, the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, guys.